If you have been on my channel for a while, you probably have noticed that you could consider me somewhat a little bit paranoid when it comes down to pickpocketing or people dropping, for example, an AirTag into the pocket of one of my bags. And yes, you could argue that it's a little bit paranoid, but I personally think better safe than sorry. And with that in mind, you could probably think that this bag from Pacsafe would be the perfect bag for me. And while to some degree it is, there are a couple of points, or maybe one big point, where I would say, nope, that is not for me. Alright, if you are as paranoid as I am about pickpockets or people messing with your sling bag, what are the unique selling points of this sling bag? Alright, let's talk about the unique selling points of this sling bag from Pacsafe. This has a couple of features that are intended to prevent pickpocketing, theft in general, and yeah, keeping all of your valuables safe. The very first feature is that you can lock all of the zipper pulls with this small little system over here where you can kind of push a small little lever, then pull down this part, and then you can basically fiddle through the first zipper pull, then the next one, close up this little lever and then push this lock button, and basically make it a little bit more difficult for a potential pickpocket to get into your compartment and therefore keeping all of your items safe. Furthermore, in like crowded areas, in vacation areas, people also want to get to your sling bag by kind of cutting the shoulder straps and then running away with the sling bag. This shoulder strap has steel cables on both sides, here and here, to kind of make it much more difficult for a thief to kind of just cut this open and then run away with your sling bag. Furthermore, the little attachment point, the buckle for the shoulder strap, has this mechanism. It is much more difficult to kind of open it, but more importantly, it has a small little lever that you can twist and turn, and then you cannot open it that easily. This is not foolproof, obviously. If a pickpocket knows what he or she is doing, then you can still get to all of your items or your bag. For example, this one, yes, you can put a lock in here, but I would rather consider this something to make it a little bit more difficult for those opportunistic thefts where they, for example, stand behind you on an escalator and then kind of fiddle with your zippers, pull them open and get to your wallet. This will prevent those situations, but if a thief has more time, obviously that person can still get around some of these theft deterrents. Obviously, if you use a lock, then you can definitely protect all of your contents inside. Furthermore, one of the pockets inside is RFID protected, so if you put your wallet inside, you are safe from RFID theft of your credit card, for example, or your ID. Long story short, the unique selling points, theft protection all over, and I do really like that. Alright, now let's talk about what's my everyday carry and what's inside this sling bag from Pacsafe. I mean, that's what you came here for, right? So I talked already about what this bag is, its unique selling point, right? This feature of preventing pickpocket theft or making it much more difficult for thieves to get to your items. Let's talk about what's inside this bag. First and foremost, the front compartment. So inside the front pocket, I obviously have stuff that I need when I'm walking my dog. So attached into this front pocket, just to make it a little bit easier, because I don't have anywhere else to kind of attach this to. This is a little pocket for dog treats. This has something like a clamp, so I can kind of hook it into that zipper. Obviously, I then cannot close the zipper completely, but it's still a good place to kind of, keep the doggy treats. And then inside this pocket, I obviously have fresh doggy bags. I basically always utilize these front zippered compartments in almost every single sling bag as a pocket for everything that I need when I'm walking my dog Woody. Now, with that out of the way, let's go to the main compartment. Open up this zipper, and firstly we have my Samsung Fold 5. This phone is amazing. I just can't repeat myself over and over again. For me, this phone has been such a game changer because it made using a phone enjoyable again. If you have a slab phone, it felt a little bit generic. All phones are slab phones, but with this I have a small form factor because I'm a short person. I have small hands, so this tighter and a slimmer candy bar style is much more fitting in my small little hands. And I know that many reviewers kind of complain about this being so thin when folded down and not as wide, like for example the Pixel Fold that has the width of a regular iPhone, for example, but when you fold it up, it's a huge tablet. I kind of understand their criticism, but if you are a shorter person like I am, and I imagine many Koreans have a similar size like I do, I feel like for Asians who tend to be smaller or shorter than Europeans or especially Americans, this smaller form factor when folded down is actually quite helpful for most of them. And if you want a bigger real estate because maybe you want to jot down a bigger note, or you want to reply to an email, or more importantly, when you're traveling and want to watch a movie, you can just fold it up and then you have a much bigger iPad mini-esque kind of device to watch movies, to play games, to work. And for me, this has been not only my phone to kind of browse social media or watch YouTube, and I kind of want to get away from my social media intake on that phone, to which I will get in the next item. But if I want to work, for example, if I want to work on a spreadsheet, answer an email, sign documents, I just fold it up and then work on the bigger screen. And therefore, this phone is amazing. I love this phone. If this breaks, then I will just get the Fold 6, and hopefully by that time there is the Fold 7 and the Fold 6 will become cheaper. This is not a cheap phone. This is obviously an investment, but I feel like if people buy an iPhone, probably the biggest one, and then buy an iPad, that is actually much more expensive than this. And I feel like this is much more realistic for me personally to carry around instead of a phone and a tablet. Therefore, for me, this was a really good investment. The next item, speaking of getting away from my social media intake, is my Anbernic RG35XX Plus retro gaming device. I love this thing. I've mentioned this multiple times in my EDC videos. I love retro gaming because I am a filthy casual when it comes down to gaming. Actually, a buddy of mine, we talked yesterday about a D&D session where it kind of felt a little bit like Dark Souls, because in a way it was really difficult, and me being a casual gamer, I don't find that really enjoyable. And for me, retro gaming, and especially these older games that are not open world, that don't necessarily have this huge elaborate story, are much more enjoyable for me. For example, Witcher 3, that game was amazing, but because I'm an adult, I don't always have the time to continuously play a game. So with that game, I actually played it, I enjoyed it, then I had a huge project where I was working for a couple of weeks, and then I started up the game, totally forgot where I was. I totally forgot the story, what quests to make, and then I stopped playing Witcher 3, which is a shame. I've never finished that game, and I would never pick it up again to continue playing it because I forgot everything. The only game in this new time that I was able to play through was Harry Potter Legacy of Hogwarts. I had the time to play it through, but usually I don't have the time to play a game through in one sitting, or at least in a continuous a session to not forget the storyline. On this device, I either play like simple games, be it Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Crazy Taxi, but I also played Final Fantasy VII. Granted, I already played that game when I was younger and I knew the story, so it was easy to kind of pause the game and then get back into it. Nevertheless, because this is so small and I can carry it wherever I want, I actually was able to play Final Fantasy in between. Because with bigger consoles like the Xbox or bigger games, you sometimes need to take into consideration boot up time, you need to take into consideration updates that you potentially need to load before you even can start the game, and then your playtime gets even shorter. With this, you just start it up and play away, and that is why I really love this device, and I can highly recommend if you want to kind of get away from your social media intake, then this device is great. Granted, you could argue that I'm switching one screen time for another screen time. However, with gaming, I feel I'm much more engaged and not like blindlessly scrolling away and feeding my gear acquisition syndrome because I see a camera on social media that I want to buy and I'm just consuming. With gaming, I feel that you are actually actively doing something. So I don't feel that that is a apples to apples comparison by switching one screen time for another. This, to me at least, is a much more valuable screen time compared to social media intake. So RG35XX Plus, I actually want to check out the ones that are folding. Maybe I will get that in the future. By the way, if you want to get any of these items that I mentioned in this video, check out the links below. Those are affiliate links. With those you won't pay more, but you will support this channel with a small kickback of that sale, and if you do so, thank you very much. Alright, gaming device is the next item. Next up, continuing with entertainment, these are my earbuds. These are the Acefast Acefit. I love these earbuds because they have an open ear design, which means I can wear them when I'm walking my dog. I can listen to an audiobook whilst still being able to hear everything that is around me, and that is very important in my humble opinion when you're out in the streets. Please consider your surroundings. Be aware of what's happening. Even with regular earbuds, I always only had one earbud in my ear to still be able to hear what's around me. Maybe there's a bicycle coming. You need to hear that stuff, in my humble opinion. Be safe. Take all of the people around you into consideration. With this, I also only wear one of them, but because this is open ear design, now I still can hear everything on that ear, even this earbud is on my ear, and I like that a lot. Furthermore, the battery life is great. I don't get this feeling of getting seasick. If you have seen my other EDC videos, you might know that I get a little bit seasick when I wear earbuds where the Bluetooth transmitter is too close to my ear canal. Check out those videos, I will link it here in the info tab above, then you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The sound quality is great, the battery life is great, and I really like this case. Highly recommend these. I have been using these for 2 or 3 months now and I love these. Really good earbuds. Next up, I can only show you the case because here is the Pocket 3 filming this B-roll of what's in the bag. This is the case. I love the Pocket 3 because it enabled me to do these reviews wherever I am, when I'm walking, when I'm out and about with my dogs or shopping. I don't feel that self-conscious when filming with this device because people actually don't know what the Pocket 3 is most of the time, and they think I'm just talking on the phone and I hold I don't know, an old Nokia phone or whatever. They don't know what this is. So this was really liberating for me. Furthermore, I didn't plan on doing that, but I started a daily vlog on my second channel all about how to start a YouTube channel, content creation. Check it out at -2. That is my second channel where I do these vlogs, and actually having the simplicity of the Pocket 3 enabled me to do these simple and, from my personal perspective, more authentic video vlogs. And yeah, maybe check out that second channel. Maybe you like that and maybe you also want to make a YouTube channel yourself. Then I feel like there are a lot of great tips that you might want to check out. So the Pocket 3 has been a game game changer for this main channel, but also enabled me to do daily vlogs basically. And I totally understand that, as far as I know, the DJI Pocket 3 is basically sold out everywhere and the price has risen quite a lot. So I do understand that that is a very pricey investment. If you want to get a different camera, then the DJI Action 4 might be a good alternative, because with these small cameras, it is so easy to create content on the go without feeling very self-conscious. With bigger cameras, yes, the image quality is great, but I personally feel very awkward when I'm holding a big camera in public. I personally, that's just my personal opinion, I don't want to be perceived as an influencer. From my experience, I like to watch a lot of reaction or commentary YouTubers, and I see so many, especially here in Germany, so many influencers that are very obnoxious or not that considerate about their surroundings or their actually viewers. And I don't respect those people a lot, because yes, create content, but look around yourself. Don't film in public when people are around and other people are actually uncomfortable with getting filmed. Especially if there are kids around. Don't film other people's kids. So I don't like to be perceived as an influencer. Small cameras like the Pocket 3, the DJI Action 4 or any other action camera are great to create content. I talked a lot about that on my second channel. Again, check out the second channel. So that is one piece of equipment that I always carry with me. Another piece of equipment, speaking of cameras, is the XM5 that I use for stills photography. That is currently filming this A-roll. Great camera. I have been doing a 365 daily stills photography challenge. On my second Instagram channel, I'm creating a lot of content at the moment on this main channel, main Instagram, second channel, and then also on my Instagram at YouKnowTheBow365. I create content where I intentionally put like stills of a straight out of the camera JPEG with a film recipe, and then how I edit that JPEG a little bit more to fit my taste. Yeah, check out that Instagram if you like stills photography and you want to see what comes out of the XM5. I always carry that and I attach it to a Night Eyes S-Biner here on that little attachment point. So despite all of the things that I have inside or have attached to the outside of this bag, just to name a few, my Samsung Fold 5, which is a chunky phone, the DJI Pocket 3 and my Fuji XM5, this bag is surprisingly comfortable to carry around. Actually, I was anticipating that this bag wouldn't be that comfortable because there is no like padding on the shoulder strap, and usually from my experience you kind of get around the non-padded shoulder strap by making the strap a little bit wider. So I was somewhat anticipating, because there is some steel wire to prevent like slashing and also the strap not being that wide, I kind of anticipated that this shoulder strap would be a little bit uncomfortable and kind of digging into my shoulder. As I said, I thought it would be uncomfortable, but it definitely is not. The only thing that I don't find that comfortable is, as you were able to see, I'm hanging my Fuji XM5 on this one little lashing point, and obviously this lashing point is not intended to carry around a camera or attach it to that point. But with all of my other sling bags, when there is a lashing point on there, I have always attached an S-Biner to that lashing point and then attached the XM5 to that S-Biner. And I was always having no issue kind of carrying that camera around. But in this case, it actually uncomfortably dangles around and always hits my stomach. Not a big deal and probably wouldn't apply to you, but I just wanted to mention this because maybe you want to attach something heavier, maybe a water bottle, to that lashing point, and then you will need to keep in mind that this lashing point is fairly soft and therefore is more prone to letting anything that is dangling on that lashing point kind of flop around. Next up is my wallet. This is the Ekster Wallet Pro. Love this wallet, talked about it quite a lot. Really love this red. I think I don't need to talk about this a lot more. I have a couple of reviews about these wallets. You can check it out in the info tab above. This is the Pro version that I want to utilize for a longer period of time to kind of see how this red leather will patina over time. Great wallet, highly recommended. Next up, usually with all of these devices, I carry a power bank to be able to quickly charge any of my devices, be it my phone or my Pocket 3 or a gaming device in a pinch. For that, I carry a Nightcore small little USB-C to USB-C cable and usually a power bank. But I found this really cool gadget, to which I will get in a second. And I always wondered, why hasn't a brand done this before? I walk my dog. Now it's summertime, so it's not that dark in the evening. But in autumn, in spring, when I'm walking my dog early at night, it gets dark. If he has to do his business, I always carry a flashlight to be able to see where that little poopy landed and I want to pick it up, right? I don't like to use the flashlight of my phone, not strong enough, and I don't want to drop my phone into poop. So I don't use the flashlight in my phone. I always carry a flashlight. Now, this is the new Wuben L3. What's so great about this, and again, this is something I always wondered, why doesn't any flashlight company do this? This has a USB port that not only is the port to charge this light, but also can be used as a power bank. You attach a USB cable here, attach it to your phone. Let me do this real quick. So attach the cable here, then you attach this, wait a couple of seconds, and then you see that charging starts. That is so cool. And the reason why I really applaud Wuben for finally incorporating something like this. I was always kind of wondering, why is no one kind of making these flashlights dual purpose? And now they have done this. This is a great flashlight with a really good output. Let me just see that. Woo! That. With a couple of intensities. The only thing that I don't like about this is very big. This is a big flashlight that it fits my everyday carry. It's totally fine, but it is very big, not very heavy, but I will show you an alternative and the ones that I've been using up to this point. And what I don't really like is this tail cap. It is easy to push, but I feel like my thumb is, I have small hands again. I feel like my hands cramp up or my finger cramps up a little bit when I try to push this, because this is quite recessed. So when you try to push it in, you kind of need to push it inwards around this edge, and my tiny little thumb gets cramped doing so. So it's not that comfortable in my hands. Your mileage might vary completely. I just know I'm the shortest person in my friend group, and when I'm sparring, maybe you have seen some of my videos where I showcased some of my Muay Thai training. I'm tiny compared to all of my opponents. So take everything that I say in terms of size with these items with a grain of salt. This in my hands is too big. So from a comfort level, holding this, pushing the tail button, not that great. But other than that, the build quality, this feature of being a power bank is amazing. I love that so much. But I have to say this is too big for me, which is why after the testing period, I will switch this out, because I love Wuben lights. For example, I have been using the X2 Pro for a long time. You can see all of the scuff marks, and I probably will return to this, but I have also been using the Wuben G5. Really small, tiny flashlight. You can pack it basically in everyday carry without fearing that it takes away too much space. Then you could ask, hey Bo, what about the power bank? For that I have the Nightcore NB Air power bank, and you can see these two items, for example, combined are much smaller and actually lightweighter, can you say it? Lightweighter than this flashlight. So while this is a great idea, and this is probably something that I will put in my car, because having a power bank plus an emergency flashlight is amazing. This will go into my car and not be in my everyday carry, but I love that they actually pulled this off, and I will add these two items back in my everyday carry, and this flashlight, the X2 Pro, which is my personal favorite flashlight, that will go into my jacket. But I would say, if you don't mind the weight, go with the Wuben L3 because it's a dual purpose items. If you mind the weight, go with the Nightcore NB Air, which is a 5000 mAh battery, and add the Wuben G5 flashlight, and then you have a very compact setup for a power bank and a flashlight. And next up, I only have hand lotion, lip balm, and a small little microfiber for my glasses. And that's basically it. That is everything that I have in this Pacsafe sling bag. Alright, we basically now covered what's inside this bag from Pacsafe. We covered that it is very comfortable to carry around. We covered that it has amazing safety features that, to be honest, I would love to have in my everyday carry sling bag, especially when traveling. But what is the deal why I personally don't like the bag, or why I don't really want to use it? It's a very, I don't know if that's the right word, vain. It's a very subjective. It's obviously not a big deal, but it is a big deal to me because when I use a product, I want to enjoy the product, how shallow it might be. And the issue that I have with this bag is, I'm really sorry Pacsafe, but it is very ugly. This bag looks so typical of what, and I'm sorry to say that, it is something that my dad or my grandpa would wear. It is a very utilitarian bag, it looks bland, and it's the typical bag that you would see with someone who's traveling and is just using a very utilitarian bag, and it's not really wanting something that looks apart or looks great. Moreover, the usability is great, but these lockable zipper pulls, they're so noisy and they dangle around, and overall, yes, the zippers are good to use, and yes, the pockets are great. It's just not as fun as I'm hoping for. And yeah, as I said, the look is very boring, and it's something that I can see my dad or my grandpa using when traveling. Alright, I totally forgot two items because those items are on my body all of the time unless I'm doing Muay Thai or boxing, and because they are so small, I totally forgot that they are part of my everyday carry. So the first one is this Ultrahuman air ring, and as I said, I wear this all of the time unless I'm doing boxing and Muay Thai. So if you haven't seen that ring on me in some of the videos, it was because I took it off for Muay Thai and boxing and then forgot to put it on. This little ring is amazing. It looks really cool, but furthermore, it will record all of the data like sleeping, footstep, heart rate and stuff like that. And you could argue, yeah, but in your Samsung smartwatch, this has already been done. What's so different about this? I'm a huge fan to wear mechanical watches, so I stopped wearing my smartwatch during the day. I use it predominantly at night to wake me up in the morning with a silent vibration alarm, and it tracks sleep very well. And I use that also for this recovery score. This ring, on the other hand, I can wear all of the time, as I said, unless I'm boxing or doing Muay Thai, because I don't know if continuous like bumps against this when I'm hitting the heavy bags or pads, if this will actually survive. So I'm not doing that. So I have it on me every single day, 24 hours, unless I'm working out. And besides the heart rate monitoring, what it also has, it has your
cardio age, which I really like. That is probably the score that I'm looking at the most to kind of see how I compete with other people in my age brackets. Then they kind of added some brain age analytics, not sure how precise that is supposed to be. Then your recovery score, which kind of tells you how fit you are. In comparison to the smartwatch has a way to measure my fat and my body weight and all of that. This can't do that. But this can measure your skin temperature and take that into account for recovery score. While those scores between my smartwatch and the Ring are pretty much similar, it's good to see that there are some metrics that are a little bit different. So it's really cool to wear this Ring. Now, I would say if you already have a smartwatch, probably you don't need this Ring because there are a lot of overlapping analytics and metrics that are being covered, but there are some metrics that are not available on the smartwatch. So if you want a very detailed analytics of your health, which I personally do not need, I just like those 2 extra metrics, or you rather want to wear a mechanical watch instead of a smartwatch, then definitely check out the Ultrahuman Air Ring. I really enjoyed using this and looking at the metrics. And this is not necessarily, I would say, I'm not a doctor, but I would say take these metrics with a grain of salt. I would not consider the numbers that I see there for like a fact, but rather it is something where you can measure these metrics over a longer period of time, and then you can kind of see developments or dips or whatever. I would not go like, oh, this is my absolute resting heart rate and take that for a matter of fact. No, I'm not treating it like that. I rather treat it like, oh, I'm wearing this, or I have been wearing this for half a year. Let's see how I have been progressing and stuff like that. I consider this something that I take into consideration with smartwatches, smart rings, or any other health app. For me, this is about tracking progress and not knowing a specific number at a specific moment of time. So that just to keep in mind. Next up, this is always on my body and I totally forgot about that because it is so small. This is the Gerber dime, a multi-tool that is so small and has replaced most of the other knives and tools that I carry. Usually I would carry a Swiss Army knife, but I switched to this one because not only has it a small little blade that, from what I can tell, is street legal because it has 2-hand opening, not locking and fairly small, but more importantly, it has this tool that is an amazing package opening tool. With this, you can open your Amazon packages, for example, without fearing that all of the glue residue gunks up your blade. This is basically your throw-away beater knife to open packages, and you don't have to worry that this gunks up or gets dull over time. And then more importantly, why I chose this is, opposed to the Swiss Army knife, this has some fairly big in air quotes, pliers, which I really like a lot. I don't use these often, but if I need some pliers, then these come really in handy. You obviously have also bottle opener, scissors, and more importantly, it is very, very small and therefore pocketable, and as you were able to tell, forgettable in your pocket. And I think that is important. The tool should be a helper and should not get in your way. And this does this. It does not get in your way. It will help you in a pinch, and you can always carry it with you because it is so tiny.
All right, let's wrap this up. You have seen all of the everyday carry inside this sling bag, and let's do a final verdict about this Pacsafe sling bag. Yes, I said that I find this bag a little bit ugly, and I still stand by that. I feel like this bag isn't that pretty and especially not as exciting to actually use. It looks boring and to some degree, as I said, something that my dad would probably use, and I would would consider this a very typical, let's say, tourist kind of bag. But with that in mind, I would consider this the perfect travel sling bag. I probably won't use this anymore for day-to-day, everyday carry use. But if I would go on vacation, then I will definitely grab this bag just for the ease of mind of being able to kind of lock some of the compartments, not having to worry that someone kind of grabs the bag by slicing the shoulder strap. Although I might be a little bit arrogant, but I feel like I'm quite street smart that something like that would not happen to me, knock on wood. Probably now that I've said it, it might happen at some point in the future. But again, for traveling, I feel like this is the perfect sling bag. Or when I'm sitting at the gate at an airport, having the ability to kind of take off the sling bag, maybe kind of wrap the shoulder strap around a chair and then lock it, is just some ease of mind that no one kind of grabs the sling bag and runs away. So for those unique selling points of this Pacsafe, I would say it's an amazing bag that I can highly recommend. I just wish that Pacsafe would have made this bag a little bit more unique, prettier, and not as, toned down and somewhat generic looking. But then on the other hand, you could say, hey, maybe that is so it doesn't attract too much attention for some thieves to actually steal it. But I would argue the more you look like a tourist, the more likely you are going to be a target for a pickpocket thief. So this bag looking like a touristy bag, I would argue that this isn't that great for anyone to actually be targeted for. So that's my verdict and my everyday carry for this month. What do you think about this sling bag? And especially what do you think about the look? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to see the everyday carry of the last month, check out the video up here. YouTube thinks that you like the video down here. And don't forget to subscribe by clicking the button up here. And sorry for this very strong backlight. You probably didn't see me at all. Anyways, see you in the next video.